Hey y'all, Ramdana here, coming at you from Hughes Gap Road in Tennessee. I think we're in Tennessee. Anyway, we're at Hughes Gap Road and we are getting ready to start our trip on the AT. With me is Chance, otherwise known as Chance Man, and this is Tyler, otherwise known as Tyler. What's your trail name? He don't have a trail name. He don't even know what a trail name is. So, but anyway, we're getting ready to start our trip and looking forward to it. So we'll get started here and we'll get going. So follow along with us. Appreciate you. We'll get going. First blaze of the trail. Here we go. Heading on to Roan High Knob. Well, right off the bat, see a tremendous difference in the trail from last time. That is, everything is overgrown. I think that's probably a function of time of year. It's a lot later. And obviously, more northbounders have dropped out. You always got your day hikers that factor in the trail use, but anyway, a lot more vegetation now. We're somewhere around 4,000 feet starting out, climbing out the gap. All right, so about 1.25 miles past the gap. Hughes Gap Road. We got dropped off. So far it's all on the side of a hill like this. I had posed a question in the White Blaze forum about campsites between Greasy Creek and Hughes Gap, and I have not seen but maybe one place that was flat enough to put a tent. It wasn't a campsite. It was probably a quarter to maybe it was half mile off the road. So there's not a lot of places so far. Just getting started, of course. One thing I've noticed about all this overgrowth on the trail, particularly when it really drapes into the trail, is it's a pain on your tracking poles, because you have to drag your tracking poles through the foliage, and that's a pain. Speaking of tracking poles, I'm climbing uphill. I need them, so I'm signing out for right now. Like this. It's about impossible to use tracking poles through here. They just get tied up, cause more effort to drag them through than they do help. A lot of people don't use tracking poles on the flats. I've noticed my boy Drew from Athens, he didn't use his on the flats really at all. And if you look at other YouTubers, Darwin on the trail, for instance, he doesn't use his on the flats a lot of times. So I use mine on the flats all the time. It's my understanding from other channels that it takes off about 10% of the weight off your legs when you're using them. So anything I can do to take weight off my legs, feet, what have you, sounds good to me. You know, the less tired your legs are, the less prone they are to injuries, soreness, go further, last longer, yada yada. So anyway, that's why I like my tracking poles. I always use them uphill especially. And now, you may have noticed that even though I started with two folks, my son and Tyler, I pretty much found my solitude. I'm a little slower, older legs, shorter legs than them. But I'm hiking my own hike, and here's my solitude. I'll see them at the campsite. Here's a pretty neat little thing coming up between the rocks. And as you can tell, sun's out. We can get probably got another 2 hours of sunlight, maybe more in the open. Back in here, it's getting dark. All right, chat with you later. Okay, I'm at mile 7.5 from Greasy. There is a little area right here that you could probably put 1 or 2 tents in. Probably find a spot. Dang, some places you feel like you're bushwhacking. Well, past Ash campsite. We were supposed to meet together there. Them guys are way out in front of me, and I hope they decided not to wait and push on to Roan Mountain. Plan was to stop there. That didn't happen. I hope it didn't happen. Hope they not got off the trail and lost somewhere, but it's important to stay together, at least have a meeting point and meet there. I'm gonna push on to Roan Mountain. High Roan Mountain Shelter and see if they're there. It's about 1.5 miles up the trail. Sun's getting kind of low. Figure I got maybe 1.5 hours of daylight, and then it's gonna be a night hike. Pretty cool little spot right in here with like a pine forest, all pine forest. Alright, so we're going to push on to Roan. Got an elevation climb here pretty much all the way except for the last 1/4 mile there. So we gained about, I think, somewhere around 1,500 feet in 1.5 miles. So we'll keep pushing. Well, sun's down. I got a 1/2 to 3/4 mile to go. Looks like it's going to be a night hike. This is a pretty neat area in here. It's all spruce or something, but it smells like a Christmas tree farm in here. And then you get out here to a meadow. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of sunset, excuse me, going on there. That's pretty cool. Right here in the middle of nowhere, on this hill, is a chimney. What's up with that? In the middle of nowhere. And you got a chimney. Pretty cool. Also, if you notice, it's getting awful dark. Alright, well, it's Friday morning, about 7 o'clock, here at the spring. It's running pretty good. Didn't take me but, I don't know, 20 seconds to fill up a 2-liter dirty water bag. And then go ahead and get it filtered, get it done. This is the Roan Mountain High Knob Shelter, the highest knob on the AT. I'll get a picture of it, video of it in a minute. There's some folks up there asleep, so I'm not going to disturb them, but this is kind of what it looks like. You're on a high hill or high mountain, but it's all covered in trees, pines, and but this is the water source. Flowing good today. Hadn't had rain in a week or so, any appreciable rain, so it's still flowing pretty good. I just put my dirty water bag under it and filled it up. You could pump with it or whatever you need to do there. As I walk back up here, we'll see if I can carry my water bags at the same time I'm filming. The trees have like moss growing all over them, so obviously this place stays in the clouds a lot of the time out of the year. Alright, heading out. Just quite a hike over a lot of eroded ground, roots and rocks and so on and so forth, down to it. Pretty much the same way going up to it off the trail. Came in at night at dark. There was a blazed signpost there, written in little bitty letters, 1/10 of a mile, pointing this direction to the shelter. So you better pay attention at night. You very easily miss it. I'm not one much for night hiking, but it was a necessity this time to make it to the shelter. A lot of ferns, moss everywhere. Really soft ground. What's not got roots on it is it's very soft, spongy almost. Alright, so as I approach the shelter, I'm gonna quit talking now so I don't disturb some. I wonder how long that can's been here. I guess even some of them during Myron Avery's time didn't believe in leave no trace. Maybe that's a new concept, but anyway, I'm gonna stop talking so I don't disturb anyone that's sleeping. So this is the trail before you get to the shelter, and It'd be real easy to miss if you weren't paying attention, particularly hiking at night. And that's the trail leading a 1/10 of a mile up to it. So it's pretty rugged getting up there, but you gotta pay attention. During the day, you couldn't hardly miss it, but at night, it'd be hard. And while we're talking about that, one of the reasons I almost missed it, I would have missed it if not for gut hooks. I felt like I was getting close to it. Hit gut hooks. It said nearby. And I was standing right next to the cotton picking post there with the blaze on it. I didn't have my headlight out yet. I was trying to get there without it. And the problem I had yesterday was pretty muggy. So my glasses were fogged up something terrible. And I could not see hardly at all. So all that compounded with it getting dark, about missed it. But I didn't. I was prepared like a good Eagle Scout. Had gut hooks. Anyhow, trail right now is all rock and rock rubble and water. I guess coming out of that spring where I got my water this morning. So I got about 1.5 miles to Carver Gap. They're meeting up with the rest of my party there. They missed the campsite rendezvous point, and of course it was getting dark, and even when the sun's still above the mountains or above the horizon, it still is dark as pitch back in the woods, back on the trail. So they missed the post. Probably didn't think about the shelter, due to inexperience, the shelter being off the trail. And they could have blew right by that, and obviously they did, and they went all the way from Hughes Gap to Carver Gap. So I think that's like, I have to look at it, but might be closer to 12. I think it was 8 for me here. Maybe it was 5 here and 8 to Carver Gap. But anyway, did that all. We got on the trail yesterday at probably 5:30 or 6. So, but I have got in touch with them via text. Trail community, great community. As long as they stay on the trail, they're safe. If they got off of it, started trying to bushwhack or something, that would be an issue. But I had had a discussion with them about that before, about what the blazes mean. Always look for a blaze. If you don't see a blaze in 50 yards, you need to backtrack, blah, 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 all those neat things. And Chance, my son's an Eagle Scout, so he's pretty good in the outdoors. Wasn't really worried about that. He knows worst case scenario, find a stream, head downhill. Eventually you'll come to some type of settlement, house, something. So, no missing man reports thus far. I will have a word of prayer with him when I get to him. In any case, things going good, and enjoying the trip so far. Chat with you later. Okay, so when you get near the road that goes up to the Cloudland and Roan Mountain, Cloudland old hotel site on the trail, you're going to come across a double blaze like this. And typically this means trail intersection ahead. But actually, the trail turns 180 degrees and goes that way. So the problem with that is that that's an incorrect marking. It should be offset to the left, so you know to make a turn. Instead, you just keep going down there till you run out of blazes, or you don't see any more blazes, and then you get to the road, blacktop, and realize this ain't it. So, had to backtrack 100 yards or so, but just be aware of that coming in here, that coming down onto the Roan Mountain Road, that around Cloudland, Carver's Gap, there's an incorrect marking on that tree. Back at my pole, keep going. We'll meet up, guys. So I'm just a couple hundred yards from Carver's Gap. Here's another one that I think's marked wrong. The trail goes that way, and it's just on top of each other. It's offset a little bit, but it really needs to be more discernible than that. I mean, if you go that way, that looks like the trail too. So just be aware of the trail, in my opinion, is not marked properly around Roan Mountain. So we're through the Carver's Gap now, and we are heading on up to the Bald. Last time I was through this area, this whole thing was covered in ice, and so obviously it's a little too warm for that now, but I'm catching up to the guys now. They camped out on the Bald up there, and so I'm getting ready to meet up with them shortly at this point and get back together. We'll need to eat breakfast and get us some water. So this is up at the top of the Bald. It is, obviously it's a Bald, so it's treeless, so they've marked it with rocks, and they've also, somebody's put up some cairns and stuff. When I was up here in the winter, this cairn wasn't here. The rock, of course, was there, but this wasn't there. But in any case, pretty cool when people do that. Great 360-degree views up here. This is Round Bald, and it's an elevation of 5,826 feet. Very pretty. Again, it was iced over totally when I was up there, so it's just pretty neat to go back and just see how different it looks when everything's green as opposed to when everything's white. This whole area has just got a lot of balds in it. That's why it's called Roan Highlands, because I guess it resembles the Highlands over in Scotland or Ireland. But this right here is Little Hump Bald, Little Hump Mountain, actually, which is a bald, and it was after the Over Mountain Shelter. But anyway, at this point, probably going to bring this portion of the hike to a close. We saw a lot of stuff, and this was our second day, so we'll get you caught up on the rest of it in the next video. We just saw tons of remarkable views, and this is probably one of the prettiest places I've been on the trail. Grayson Highlands is a lot like this, but this tends to have more longer range views and more of them. In any case, we'll continue our section hike later. Hopefully this will introduce you to the first portion of our section hike, and you've got some good information from it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment at the bottom down there. Hit that big old red subscribe button. And as always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.